Morning everyone, and welcome to In the Workshop with Julian. Yes, I'm in the garage. It is raining outside, raining cats and dogs, raining during lockdown. And you know what my wife says to me? I don't know if your wife says this to you, but the garden needs the rain. So there you are, the garden needs the rain. We can't go out on our bikes. I'm not going out on my bike anyway. I'm mainly being on the turbo. So I thought I'd come in here and show you guys who are going out on your bikes how to install tubeless tyres. Yes, now if you haven't seen Jules's In the Workshop Part 1, which was about how to put on bar tape, Rowan, then here is Part 2, which is how to install tubeless tyres. Now if you haven't gone down the tubeless route, what are you waiting for? Tubeless is the future. Well, actually, I'm not sure that tubeless is the future. I've had mixed results with tubeless tyres, and I'm not even certain that this particular video is going to work, because one of the mixed results I've had is sometimes I've found it incredibly difficult to install and seat my tubeless tyres. Sometimes it's worked like a dream, and sometimes it's worked like a nightmare. So with any luck, I suppose this video will be like a dream, but you may learn something if it's like a nightmare, because it will tell you don't go down the tubeless route, whatever you're thinking of. I know the magazines are full of it, GCN are full of it, all the pros, actually all the pros aren't full of it. But tubeless is the future. Like what else is the future? Electric bikes, are they the future? Possibly. Anyway, let's get on with it. Now, you need a few things before you start. Now, first thing you need is a wheel. Now, I'm not being entirely facetious. You need to make sure that your wheel is tubeless ready. Some are, some aren't. It needs some rim tape, and it needs some airtight rim tape. This is a Hunt wheel. It is sold as tubeless ready, and it comes with the rim tape already fitted. The next thing you need is a tyre. Yes guys, you need a tyre, a tubeless tyre. This is actually a, what is this? This is a Panasonic Gravel King 35, 700 by 35, and it's a gravel tyre, which I'm going to hopefully set up on that Hunt wheel. Next thing you need is a, you need a pair of tyre levers, in my case, because I had to get the tyre off because it was already tubeless. I was taking it off so I could put it back on to show you how it works. So a pair of tyre levers. And tyre levers may be useful when you put the tyre back on. Hopefully you won't use them. You also need a special copper dish like this, which I actually made in school when I was about 14. But if you haven't got a copper dish like this, which you made in school, other dishes can be used. And you then need a valve, and this is a special tubeless tyre valve. And if you buy tubeless wheels, tubeless tyres, I'm trying to think now, do they come with the tyres? I don't think they do. Anyway, you need a tubeless tyre valve, and the little retaining nut, and the plastic, what do you call that? Is it a nipple? No, it's not a nipple. Like a nipple valve cover, whatever it is, airtight cover. You also need some sealant, and a word from my sponsor. This is Stan's No Tube Sealant. And actually, Stan's don't sponsor me, and nobody else sponsors me either. But I'm using this particular tyre sealant, so you need some sealant, and you need something to get it into the tyre. Now you can use a syringe. Any drug takers out there, heroin, methadone users, don't share your syringes, particularly now. But you can buy a syringe in the chemist. Can you go to the chemist? Yes, you can. You can buy a syringe. Or I bought this, which is called an application bottle. Can you see that? Application bottle for use with Joe's No Flats sealants. Doesn't say it's for use with Stan's sealants, but it does work. This is a bit like a syringe. Basically it's a bottle with a thin spout at the end, and you'll see why a little bit later on. The other thing you're going to need is a pump. Now, one of the things about tubeless tyres is you generally need a special pump in order to seat the tyre on the rim, and you'll find out why as we progress. So some tyres say that you can inflate them with a normal pump. I've never had any success doing that, got to be honest. This is a special pump. It includes a what do you call this thing here, the thing that you put on the valve, includes a lever here. I don't know if you can see that, and if you turn that lever there, can you see that? It points to tank, and you then fill the air in the tank, and then you release the lever, and it releases a blast of air into your tyre. That's the theory anyway, and that helps it seat on the rim. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it'll work today, maybe it won't. We shall see. So let's progress. So we take our tyre and we put our we take our wheel, and then we're going to put our tyre on as you would normally put on the wheel. And you might think this tyre is a little bit dirty and slimy. The reason it's dirty and slimy is I actually took it off the wheel just for you, so I could show you this installing tubeless tyre video, and that's why it's still got a bit of sealant in it. Anyway, I'm putting the tyre on the wheel like that, and it goes on like a normal tyre. If you're when you used to, by the way, change a normal, when you used to have a puncture and you change your tyre, there we are, that went on rather easily in the workshop. Sorry, I'm just looking for a bit of rag, just a moment, don't go away. Back again, bit of rag, because I just wanted to clean off this wheel. This is not necessary. This is not part of the tubeless tyre installation process, but anyway, I'm just cleaning it off so it looks nice for you guys when you're watching the video. Anyway, the point I was going to make is when you are in the workshop and you change a tube and you're putting on a new tyre, not tubeless, just normal tyre and tube, it's recommended that you put talcum powder on. So you put some talcum powder on your hands, you run the inner tube through your hands, and that makes it easier to then put the tyre on. Word of advice, don't use talcum powder and sealant. It makes an unholy mess, as I have found to my cost. Right, so we now have the wheel with the tyre installed, and I've forgotten to do something, and I did this deliberately so that you would not make the same mistake as I did. And what I've obviously forgotten to do is put the valve in. So you put the valve in there, you can see. Once you put the rim tape on, or you may find when you buy the wheel with the rim tape already installed, you may need to make a little hole where the hole is in order to put the valve through the rim tape. So I've put the valve on, and I've put I'm just putting the little retaining thing on. Is it a nut? A nut you kind of imagine has got 6 sides, or is it 8 sides? I'm not quite sure. This is a round nut, so a round nut, like a hazelnut, you could say. A hazelnut is a round nut. Anyway, we're not talking about nuts. So the tyre there is hopefully seated, at least in theory, on the rim. Now what I'm going to do with the pump is to pump up the tank, which I explained to you earlier, with about 240 pounds of pressure, which is about 17 bar. I never understand what bar is, but it's equivalent to pounds. So I'm going to set the pump to tank, which I've done there, and I'm going to pump this up. I may need to stand up, and this is good exercise if you're in lockdown, and it's quite good exercise if you're not in lockdown. And we've got, we're cooking with gas. We've got 240 pounds of pressure in there, so I'll just sit down and catch my breath. Now what I'm going to do is make sure the valve closure, I don't know the names of things. I feel I ought to know the names of things if I'm going to make videos for your delectation, and yet I don't. So I'm putting the valve thingy on the valve thingy. How's that? And now I'm going to open this like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this tank lever, and with any luck the tyre is going to seat on the rim, but it may not work. So here goes. And no, it hasn't worked. Now I can think of a reason why it hasn't worked. You may have thought of this, guys, and that is I hadn't tightened up the knurled, that's a good word, isn't it? I hadn't tightened up the knurled nut. And one of the reasons why I am such a useless fucking mechanic, and those of you who have enjoyed, if enjoyed is the right word, the fruits or the rotten fruits of my labour, might find this enlightening. One of the reasons why I'm such a useless fucking mechanic is that I know most of the things that you're supposed to do, but I don't always know the order in which you're supposed to do them. So sometimes, what is that, you know that scene in no, it's not Amadeus, isn't it? It's in Morecambe and Wise, where they're in Andre Previn, and they're complaining about their notes. He says, no, I know all the notes, but not necessarily in the right order. So I know all the things that you're supposed to do, but occasionally I miss out something, and it's usually something quite crucial. So in this instance, I've missed out tightening up the valve. So of course there was no airtight seal around the valve. So let's put that lever onto tank again. Let's pump up the tank again. I wish I didn't have to do this, because I'd rather not put in 240 fucking pounds of pressure into this tank, having already done it once. And if I have a I'm out of breath, have a heart attack while doing that, well, I did it in the service of bike mechanics. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm opening the lever again, and now I'm going to release the valve, and it's seating. Oh, can you hear that telltale? There's a sound there. I don't like that sound. No, it's seated. I think it's seated. Look at that. So I'm going to get the normal pump now, and I'm going to put in about 50 pounds of pressure. I'll put in about 60 pounds of pressure, I think. And is that pumping up? Not sure it is. Let's take the valve off. That hiss of air, by the way, is from the pump. It's not from the tyre. Do occasionally hear that sound and think, oh god, it's all gone wrong. But no, in this instance, I don't know if you can see there. I'll just wipe it off. Wiping it off, and it's seated and it's blown up. So You might think, well, it's finished now, Julian, it's worked, good job, great job for mechanic. No, it's not finished. What you need to do now is the final element, and this is quite an important element, and that is to put in the tyre sealant. There are two ways you can do this. You can put in the sealant before you put in the final section of tyre, then pump it up, or you can do as I did, which was to seat the tyre, inflate it so that it seals hard against the rim as it's done, and then remove the valve core from the valve and put the sealant in using your syringe or this kind of baby's bottle thing. Do not use a baby's bottle, and do not use that bottle on your baby. So I'm going to just undo this now and release the air, as you can hear, and then I'm going to use this valve core remover, which I think I got with some giant tubeless tyres. I'm not quite sure. There are various ones available. I did have a rather nice Park Tool valve core remover, and for some reason, hang on, doing this the wrong way. Just talk amongst yourselves. There we are. Doing this the wrong way, not for the first time. I did have a rather nice Park Tool valve core remover, which for some reason, it just dropped on the floor. For some reason I can't find. It is somewhere in my workshop, and hopefully I'll come across it. So I'm just going to put that down there for a moment. I'm going to take my applicator bottle. I'm going to take my sealant. Now the tyre and the sealant, or rather the sealant, should tell you how much sealant you should put into the tyre. In tyres of this size, it's generally recommended about 60 mil, but you should check with your bottle of sealant or on the other information that you have. I don't think, frankly, it matters vastly amount whether it's 40 mil or 50 mil or 60 mil or 70 mil, and I'm not, for various reasons, one of those people who takes massive amounts of notice of that kind of thing, which might partly explain why I'm not really a very good mechanic. Anyway, I'll put the sealant in. I'm going to put this on here, and hopefully I can get it in the hole. Hope you can see that. Can you see that there? It's a bit like feeding a bottle. It's a bit like feeding a baby. If any of you have got children or had babies and had to feed them with a bottle, don't of course feed your babies with tyre sealant. One shouldn't have to say these things, but in the light of Trump advising everybody to inject themselves with disinfectant, one feels it's necessary to make these kind of give these kind of warnings. Do not feed tyre sealant to your babies. Don't feed it to yourself either. No, that should not need saying. This is I think there might be an airlock here, because it's not coming out. Sorry, I'm just trying to see what's happening here. I think there might actually be a blockage there. Is there a blockage there? Let's see. I think there's a little blockage. Just going to get a pin or something to make a hole in that. I'm still here, I'm going away. Hope you're enjoying the view of my Persian rug there in the background. Right, I'm coming back. Okay, I've come back, so I'll reattack the tyre. I think that's going in. Oh, it's going all over the place. Okay, it's going in. Oh, it's going all over my leg. Oh, I feel like I've wet myself. Oh, not for the first time. Right, so the sealant is going into the tyre. I might have to speed up this section of the video in case you guys get a little bit bored. Come on. For fuck's sake. Should I... Why is this happening? Sealant's going everywhere. I'm filling it up. It's taking a bit of time. It normally take this long. I was going to say that doing it this way is a bit less messy than injecting it directly into the tyre, but I'm kind of rushing things a bit because I don't want you to get bored, and so this is actually proving more messy than it normally does, but this normally works fairly well. So I've got the valve core. I'm going to put the valve core back in there like that. I'm going to get my valve core installer, use it properly this time, tighten that up like that. I'm going to run the wheel round like that so the sealant is spread evenly. I'm going to undo the valve thingammy that I can't remember the name of. I'm going to attach my pump. I'm going to open the pump lever, and now I'm going to pump it up. And because the tyre has already been seated on the rim, by the way, releasing the air to put in the sealant should not break that seal between the tyre and the rim. And nope, it hasn't happened in this case, so it's worked fine. I'm just putting in about 50 pounds of pressure like that. I'm going to take that off. That's the hiss of air from the pump. It's not from the tyre. Hasn't all gone wrong. And I tighten up the valve screw, put the plastic cap on like that, do a final little clean around like that, and there we have a tubeless tyre seated on a rim. Now that worked relatively smoothly. It doesn't always work smoothly, gotta be honest. The main problem is with that initial seating of the tyre on the rim that blast of air is supposed to achieve. Doesn't always work. There have been occasions, I don't deny it, there have been occasions when I've given up and just put in a tube. Put in a tube. But this time it worked. It worked live on national television, international television even, with YouTube's algorithms. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do enjoy my videos, please subscribe, please give it a thumbs up, please share it with your friends. Somebody very kindly said to me that my previous beta was much better than a GCN bar wrapping video, so very nice of him to say that, and hope you enjoyed this one. See you in the next video in the workshop or doing something else. Take care, look after yourselves, hope that coronavirus hasn't affected you too much. Have a nice day. See you next time.